Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and today I'm going to be kind of doing a theory and an in-depth analysis of a specific episode in Code Lyoko, and this is episode 10 of season 1, and it is The Girl of the Dreams. That is what the title of the episode is. And this episode always I always was intrigued by this specific episode just because of the um the dynamic of the whole what's it called of them thinking it was Aelita character. And so in this specific episode, they introduced a character named Talia, yes, to try and add the wraith off of Aelita's name. And she was a one-off character. She was never seen again in the series. So the whole plot of this episode was that now back in this point in the season, Aelita was still in the virtual world. Jeremy hadn't come up with a way to bring Aelita out of the virtual world yet. That was kind of the whole big plot of season 1. Season 1 did have a lot of problems compared to the later seasons, but again, this was the first season. There wasn't as much budget in the first season, so they kind of did a lot of outlandish villains to, not that they didn't do that later on in the season, but they had to do that a lot in the first season to kind of counteract the lower budget that they had in the first season. It got better as the seasons go on because of Moonscoop's involvement in the later seasons, but the first season did have a lot of issues. If you watch in the limelight, even in today's standards, but still a hit nonetheless. But one of the biggest missteps was this episode because they introduced this character, and as you can see the similarities of the characters. Now, of course, again, Aelita was still in the virtual world, so they hadn't seen what she looked like in real life because, again, to their perspectives, they didn't realize she was actually a human. They thought she was actually someone that was born in that virtual world at the time. But this comes into the play with this Talia character. Now, ironically enough, the same voice actor who voiced Aelita voiced Talia. Okay, so they had the same voice actor voicing Aelita and Talia, which also the same voice actor also voiced Jeremy, by the way. So that is another coincidence. The voice actor does a really good job. I think of really convincing people that this person is Aelita. I mean, it's clear as day when you look at the visual of it. I mean, it's clearly not Aelita. I mean, she has darker red hair compared to Aelita's like bright pink hair. But with the voice acting and stuff like that, it's easy to understand from a kid's point of view watching this. It's easy to convince people that this probably was Aelita, especially since the name is similar. It is definitely a definite explanation. So the Xana attack happens. Xana takes over Yumi's samurai armor thing or whatever. But Jeremy is so convinced, even after they had asked and Odd was convinced it wasn't her. Jeremy was convinced that this was Aelita and that she'd lost her memory. So much that she goes into her room to ask her about it and to help, take out Xana or whatever. And then, of course, Xana attacks them both. Of course, Jeremy thinks that he's attacking Talia, but in reality, he is attacking, Xana is attacking Jeremy. Jeremy makes the boneheaded mistake of taking Talia to the supercomputer. And this is where the mistake happens because, again, we find out later that Aelita was not actually in the real world, but nonetheless, um, she was trapped in a orange energy field by Xana. Um, so of course they quickly figured this out. Long story start, they figure this out. They do the things. Of course, Talia decides to get the police involved, and they manage to still return to the past despite everything that happened. Okay, and it is later discovered that Talia is a orphan. Okay, and that's why she didn't want to talk to anybody. Okay. However, after this episode ends, that's it for Talia. Now I know, yes, she was not a main character or anything like that, but there were a lot of you know, side to nothing characters that were still around in the background. You know, Odd had, like, for example, had a girlfriend, broke up with him, and you could see her a bunch of times in the background throughout the series. But yet, Talia is nowhere to be found, despite the fact that she is pretty much in the same classroom as Odd, Jeremy, Jeremy, and Ulrich. Yumi is a grade ahead of them, so obviously, as you probably already know, that Yumi is actually in a different classroom. She is older than everyone else of our main characters. But that is the most interesting thing. So so I want to kind of get into my theory on this now. After summarizing basically the episode. So what happens to Talia? Well, I mean, we could just give the easy answer to basically say that, oh, well, the writers just forgot and, whatever. But I think I would like to kind of give more of an in-depth thing than just being, oh, well, we just forgot about her. We just kind of wanted to do a one-off thing and just forgot about everything. I really feel like there was so much more depth that they could have done with this minor character. Okay, this, one-off episode character. I mean, Jeremy was convinced that Talia was Aelita. Okay, yet she wasn't. And even Jeremy at the end of the episode was trying to say, "Oh yeah, I totally knew it wasn't her." Like when Aelita came out of the virtual world and into the real world, they could have used this as a plot point. You know, like you thought this was me or something like that. Like there were so many things they could have done that I felt, even it's not necessarily they needed to, you know, like mention her again or like, you know, have them talk with her again. The main characters talk to her again, but at the very least, they could have at least showed her in the background, But I want to bring up a theory of like who this person could actually be, because she does look a lot like Aelita. And I know we could just go with the simple answer is that, oh, well, the writers just basically created her just to be like this whole, extra that made you think she was Aelita or whatever, when she wasn't. I mean, that's the easy answer we can give. But I really feel that there's more to it than that. Like, it's like they do look alike. And we do know that Aelita is technically 22 years old biologically because she was trapped in the supercomputer for 10 years, okay, when the computer was shut off. And when she was trapped in there for 10 years, she never aged. So when she got out of the supercomputer, she was still the physical age that she was when she was put in there. So she was, I think they said she was 13 years old um, when she got out, when Jeremy got her out of the at the end of season one, when they got her out of the virtual world. Um,
And they seem to be very close, too. And so the obvious question is whether your name is really Aelita Stones.
Yes, sir. Aelita Stones is my real name. I'm the daughter of France and Anthea Stones.
Are you really Canadian?
Yes, I am.
And are you really an orphan?
I am.
And is Ard Della Robbia really your cousin?
Yes, sir. On the photo, Aelita looks about 12 or 13.
Yes, and what of it?
Well, you said that Franz Hopper taught here at Caddock about 9 years ago. So if that's really Aelita in the picture, she would be 22 years old now and not 13. But as you can see, Aelita is 13 years old and not 22. So that can't be Aelita in the photo. We can thus conclude that Aelita is not related to Franz Hopper, that she is telling the truth about being Canadian, an orphan, and the fact that she really is Odd's cousin.
So, because of this, there is a possibility that while this is obviously not Aelita, there is a possibility that this character could be related to Aelita in some way. She could have been a cousin or aunt or anything like that. We have no idea because we don't really know that much other than what we've been told about Franz Hopper and her Aelita's mother. We don't know their family sides. Other than they were both, obviously scientists, and, Franz Hopper created the supercomputer. That's really all we know. We don't really know anything else about their other family members. I believe because they said she was an orphan, okay, because they say Talia was an orphan, that opens up the possibility that maybe her actual mother was the sister of Aelita's mother. Like there is possibilities here, and it would also explain why she wouldn't know who Aelita would be had they interacted after this one episode. Like I said, there was so many things they could have done with this character. They didn't have to do that much because obviously, yes, I know she is a she's just a one-off type character. Just to kind of fool people with Aelita, thinking people that she was Aelita. But I think it was something that they could have explored later on, because she was an orphan. Like, there were so many different things. There were so many different things in Code Lyoko they could have done that they just kind of ignored after. Like, and I feel like there was even more, unanswered questions that they could have done that they kind of just, okay, we're just going to have this episode and then just shrug it off and move on to other things. And that was kind of this episode here. They kind of just shrugged it off and moved on to a different episode, or moved on to the other episodes and getting to the plot. But there was just so much depth that I think they could have done here. That would have made it a little more better. Jeremy could have had that subplot, come back, where Aelita is like, you thought this person was me? So yeah, there's a lot of things that I think was a missed opportunity, with exploring this, because again, at the end of the season, at the end of the series, and yes, we're not really counting we're not counting Code Lyoko Evolution, which was the season 5, which was supposed to be the continuation of Code Lyoko because of the live action bomb that it was. It never got dubbed either. Well, it was only the episode 5 episode got dubbed. Fan dubs, but the fan dubs never completed the entire series, unfortunately. And some of the fan dub episodes were actually pretty okay for what they were. But it's just it's not, I've heard the plot, and it wasn't that great of a plot, but Nonetheless, I do kind of wish we would get a sequel of Code Lyoko. I do one day wish they will make like an adult version of Code Lyoko, like where it's like all the characters are adults now or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. But getting back to this point here is there was an exploit they could have, done with this because again, we don't really know that much about Aelita's mom, which is where my theory I think comes into play here. Is I kind of think that, you know, Talia's Talia could potentially biologically be related to Aelita through Aelita's mother. Um, and I just think, they missed the ball on this one. Uh, Again, this was like probably like a forgotten episode to them where they just kind of were like, we just do this one thing and then just move on from it. But like I said, that's kind of my theory. And again, I think there was more to this than was explored in the actual series. There's just so many different things they could have done. But anyways, that's kind of my theory on this. I would like to know what other people think of this one-off character. Do you think they missed the boat on this? What do you guys think? Um, do you think there's a possibility that she is related to Aelita's mother in some way through possibly her mother having a sister? Um, I would love to know what people think. This is what my kind of theory is, and I would like to know what people think on this. So let me know. Comment, rate if you like this video, my videos. Please subscribe. Hit the notification bell for today's content. Thank you, and that's about it, guys. I'm the Ultimate Goku, and I'm out of here. Peace. Also, if you like this, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on the Twitch and the Instagram, same usernames, the Ultimate Goku. And I also do have a Discord link where we discuss topics like this and other various topics. I do also have a YouTube tier list, so you can also check that out for perks and stuff like that. And now I'm out. Peace.